Hi, it's Reed from Hawkins After School Club, and today I'm going to read you a story. It's called The Boy, the Bear and the Fish. Long ago, in a faraway time and place, there lived a young man. He lived with his aging parents on a farm that had been a happy place for all. But time went by, and as the parents got older, so did the boy. The farm began to feel smaller, and his dreams got bigger. Since his parents were wise, loved him much, and knew him well, they could see it was time for him to move out into the bigger world to seek his fortune. And so one day, his parents, with a warm hug and a few tears, sent him off into the world. As he began his long walk, he smiled, thinking of his dear old parents. He patted the sack which his mother had filled with good food for the journey, and the smaller sack into which his father had tucked 3 precious coins for needs along the way. He also began to whistle with joy, thinking of the adventures he would have along the road. It was not too long, being a growing boy, before he began to be hungry. Looking around for a kindly lunch spot, he espied a tall oak beside the road. It was well-leafed and cast a shady, inviting shadow. He eased down and stretched out to enjoy his lunch. He was just fed and settled into a tiny nap when a resounding thunk shook his resting place against the tree. He leapt up to discover a woodsman stoutly axing into the sturdy trunk. The boy was alarmed. He had been taught that all in nature had its place, and was sad to see the old tree being cut down. He had little money, but he did have 3 coins. He decided to offer one to the woodsman to spare the tree. Happily, it worked. The tree was spared. The boy gathered up his bag and waved at the old tree that had sheltered him so well. Off he went to resume his journey. Soon he came to the edge of the forest, where he was alarmed to hear a loud growling from behind a thick prickle bush. He approached cautiously, wondering what man or beast was making such a frightening sound. Behind the bush, he spotted a large brown bear batting at the ground with his paw. The boy could see that the paw was pierced with several of the sharp prickles. He began to creep away slowly. As he moved away, the bear began to howl pitifully. His kind soul could not stand to leave the animal in such pain. Carefully moving close, he soothed the animal with a soft voice and gentle touch, as he tenderly removed the prickles. The bear licked his hand and lumbered off into the forest. The night was drawing near, so the boy found a quiet spot and took his rest. The next morning dawned fresh and golden. He stepped back onto the road to continue his adventure. He had not gone far when he came upon a small pond encircled by trees. He could see fish jumping in the sun and decided to have a brief rest and enjoy the view. As he watched, he spotted a fisherman reeling in a huge, writhing fish. He was an old, wily fish and had lived a long time, but he was losing this battle. The boy begged the fisherman to let the fish loose, but when he would not, he again thought of his coins. He had 2 left. He could spare one to save the fish. So he gave the fisherman a coin to save the fish. The released fish promptly flopped back into the pond with a leap of joy. As the day wore on, the boy began to notice more houses and farms along the road. More travellers passed him on the road. moving forward in one direction with great excitement. Soon he saw them clustered at the edge of a large estate. Proud gates were thrown wide, the better to read a large sign posted there. The sign proclaimed a challenge being held that very day. The prize? The winner would become head forester and manager of the estate. The boy thought briefly. This would make his fortune and bring pride to his parents. Why not try? Did he not thirst for adventure? So he entered the gates and joined the crowd gathered in a large courtyard in front of a mansion. A most beautiful young woman called the crowd to quiet. She read to all the 3 steps of the challenge. The contender who proves their strength of body, their ability to outwit and hide from enemies, and their endurance, gets the prize and the position. The first trial began. All the candidates in turn had to wrestle to the ground a large brown bear held in a pit in the courtyard. One by one, they were eliminated, and the bear looked to be the winner. At last came the young man's turn. He steadily walked up to the bear and prepared to fight. As he got closer, he began to notice something familiar about the bear. The light in the bear's eyes was almost like a smile. He began to wrestle, but the bear, in gratitude for the boy's earlier kindness, hugged him soundly and allowed himself to be tossed to the ground. The boy was declared the winner. He had won challenge 1. On to the trial. Each candidate was challenged to hide himself in a spot where none could find him. As each set out to look for a likely hiding spot, the boy walked far down the path and spotted a familiar-looking tree. It was the oak that he saved. He climbed quickly up into the tree, and the tree closed its branches tightly around him, concealing him in its thick, leafy heart. All looked and looked, but none found the boy. The whistle blew, announcing the challenge end. All were in the yard except for our boy. Slipping out of the tree to the ground, he returned to the courtyard and was quickly hailed as the winner of challenge 2. Challenge 3 was considered to be the most difficult. All remaining candidates were led to a small pond on the edge of the estate. There they were told that the candidate who could hold his breath the longest underwater would be winner of this trial. Each contender then entered the water. One by one, they returned to the shore as their breath gave out. The boy was the last to go under the surface. He quickly began running out of air. Just about the time he was ready to give up and surface, a very large, old fish swam near and breathed a bubble of air into his nose. This allowed him to stay under just long enough to be the last out of the water. As he stepped onto the shore, a rousing cheer erupted. He had won challenge 3. All the crowd was now gathered in the courtyard again. It was very noisy. Some was cheering for the winner. Others were grumbling and grumpy because they had lost the trials. Soon the beautiful lady entered the yard. Calling the crowd to quiet, she announced the overall winner. It was the boy who had loved all in nature and was wise and full of adventure. He had proved strength of body, skill at hiding from enemies, and endurance. He was the overall winner. His prize was a job his parents would be proud of and a life filled with adventure. The beautiful lady gave him a prize purse filled with gold, along with a hug and her biggest smile. It was a happy day. Crowds cheering, the sun shining, the lady smiling, and his adventure just beginning. Would he live happily ever after? We shall see. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon. Bye.